The Galactic Throne Room was one of the most powerful places in the galaxy.
It was a huge hall of silver walls, glowing crystals, and tall banners of the Imperial Crown.
Leaders from more than 40 alien species worked here every day. Officers spoke loudly, screens flashed with data, and ships moved across the holomaps like fireflies. But today, everything stopped. A strange static sound echoed in the room, soft at first, then sharp like cracking ice. One by one, the holoscreens began to glitch. Colors blurred. Symbols scattered. Even the Emperor's crown lights flickered, something that had never happened in the Empire's long history. Commander Thaler, a tall reptilian soldier with dark green scales, turned sharply. His eyes narrowed. He was not a creature who feared easily, but this sound made his chest tighten. "Report," Thaler ordered. No one answered. Officers stared at their screens, confused and pale. The static grew stronger, as if something far away was screaming through the wires. A young officer suddenly ran into the throne room, breathing hard. His uniform was twisted, his face pale blue with fear. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He shook like he had seen a ghost. The Emperor slowly stood from his throne. His golden robe brushed the floor, and the hall fell silent. "Speak," the Emperor said. "What happened?" The young officer swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. The Battle Group 7, they're gone." Thaler's scales stiffened. "Gone? Damaged? Destroyed?" "No, Commander." The officer shook his head violently. "Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. Erased." A chill passed through the room. Dozens of officers stared at each other, confused and frightened. Thaler stepped closer. "What do you mean erased?" "There is nothing left," the officer whispered. "No wreckage. No signals. No escape pods. Even the dust. It's missing. Sir, it's like those ships never existed." The Emperor's expression slowly changed. Fear, real fear, shone in his eyes. "Show us the last recording." The officer nodded quickly and connected his device. The largest holoscreen in the room blinked alive. Everyone stared. Battle Group 7 appeared on the screen. 54 massive capital ships. Strong. Armed. Unstoppable. They floated calmly around a quiet star. Suddenly, the footage shook. The light faded. The star itself seemed to dim. A dark shape appeared behind the fleet. Not a ship. Not a creature. Just darkness. A shadow with no edges. No lights. No structure. The recording turned into static for a brief second. Then, every ship vanished. Instantly. Silently. No explosions. No energy trails. Nothing left. Only one thing remained. A faint whisper captured from the last ship's open channel. 2 words. "They're back." The footage ended. The silence in the throne room was so deep it felt like the air had stopped moving. Grand Scholar Vela, an old creature with 6 pale eyes, trembled as she spoke. That signal. It does not match anything in our databases." Thaler frowned. "Every known species is stored in our records. Every engine, every weapon, every starship. There is no shadow technology. There is no method that erases matter." The Emperor looked down at his trembling hands. "There was one species we removed from the records." Everyone turned toward him. Thaler's voice dropped. "My lord, you cannot mean." "Yes," the Emperor whispered. "Them." The hall felt colder instantly. Humans. A species the Empire claimed had died out centuries ago. Their worlds were burned. Their ships destroyed. Their culture erased. Or so the Empire believed. Thaler tightened his jaw. Humans were primitive. They had no shadow ships. They could not erase fleets. Scholar Vela shook her head. "We do not know what they became. If even one group survived the purge, they might have changed." Before anyone could answer, the static returned, louder than before. The throne room lights flickered, then went dark for 3 long seconds. When the lights returned, a new signal flashed across every screen. A single symbol. A human handprint glowing white. Beneath it, a message. "We are coming for what you stole." Officers panicked. Some ran. Some shouted.
Others froze. The Emperor raised his voice.
Calm yourselves. But even he could not hide the fear in his eyes.
Thaler stepped forward, his voice deep and steady.
Prepare defense fleets. Seal the outer sectors. Increase planetary shields. And track the source of that signal.
The officer stared at his device in disbelief.
Sir, the signal. It is coming from inside our own territory.
What?
Thaler roared. Yes, Commander, the officer whispered. The shadow. It is moving through hyperspace faster than anything we have ever recorded. It already erased 3 more fleets.
A fresh wave of panic spread. The Emperor gripped the edge of his throne.
Find them. Before they reach this world. But before Thaler could respond, the screens flickered again. This time, the shadow appeared clearly. Huge. Silent. Watching them.
As if it knew exactly where the throne room was. Then the message appeared.
First the fleets. Then the throne. The throne room fell into terror. And Thaler understood something he had hoped was impossible. Whatever this thing was, whoever had returned, they were not afraid of the Empire. They were coming directly for it. The panic inside the Galactic Throne Room did not fade. Even after the shadow signal disappeared, fear still floated in the air like cold smoke. The Emperor ordered everyone to return to their stations, but the officers were too shaken to hide their worry. Commander Thaler, however, walked with firm steps. His jaw was tight, his eyes sharp.
He did not like shadows, mysteries, or messages that threatened the throne world.
And he hated the feeling of not knowing even more. He reached the private lift and placed his clawed hand on the crystal reader.
Level 0, he said. The lift shook softly as it began to descend deep under the palace. Level 0 was forbidden to everyone except the Emperor and 3 high-ranking commanders. It held secrets buried long before Thaler was born. Secrets the Empire hoped never to face again. When the doors opened, cool air rushed out. The room was silent, lit only by blue tubes along the walls. A single circular chamber stood at the center. The archive vault. As Thaler entered, the vault lights brightened, scanning him. Commander Thaler, a mechanical voice greeted. Authorization confirmed. Thaler approached the central console and pressed his hand on the platform. Open the sealed section. Human records. The system paused. Warning. This section was erased by Imperial order. Opening is punishable by execution. Thaler growled. Open it. The floor shook. A long crack of light formed, and an armored container slowly rose from beneath the metal plates. Dust fell from the edges. The forbidden files. Inside were data chips, sealed documents, and old recordings. Everything related to the lost species, humans. Thaler pushed the container open and picked up the first chip. It was labeled with a red symbol. War of Earth. Final report. He inserted it into the console. The chamber lights dimmed, and a holoscreen appeared. A young Imperial captain spoke in the recording. Humans fought like nothing we had ever seen. They did not surrender. They adapted. Every trap we made, they found a way out. Every weapon we used, they answered with something new. It was like their minds never stopped working. Thaler frowned. He remembered the old stories. The Empire claimed humans were weak.
Slow. Poor in technology.
Easy to crush.
But the recording showed the opposite. Human ships moved like sparks, fast and unpredictable. Their pilots fought with fierce emotion. Their commanders changed tactics in seconds. The recording shook violently. Explosions flashed behind the captain. They reached the capital ship, the captain shouted. They broke through 10 layers of shields. How? Static. The recording ended with a final note. Do not let any human escape.
If even one survives, they will return.
Thaler's hand trembled for a moment. Not from fear, but from understanding. Return, he whispered. Is that what happened? He opened the next file. A scientist from centuries ago appeared. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. We underestimated them. Humans changed faster than any species. Their minds grow in ways we could not measure. Their bodies adapt to strange environments. and when pushed to the edge, they evolve. Thaler leaned closer as the final message played. If humans ever disappear from our sensors, it will not mean they are dead. It will mean they are changing into something we do not understand. The file ended. Thaler closed his eyes for a moment. The shadow in the recording earlier, the erased fleets, the strange message. Could humans really have become something powerful enough to erase ships? He didn't believe it fully, but the fear of the unknown pressed on his chest. A soft chime rang. Someone else had entered level 0. Thaler turned sharply, hand on his sidearm. Scholar Vela stepped in slowly. Her 6 pale eyes blinked as she looked around. "You opened the human archive," she whispered. "Good. We can no longer hide from the truth." Thaler growled. "You knew there were secrets here. You knew they were dangerous." Vela nodded. "Yes, and the Emperor knew as well. But he lied to everyone, including you." Thaler's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Vela walked to the container and lifted a small black cube. "This is the part of the history the Empire destroyed," she said. "Humans were not wiped out. They escaped." Thaler froze. "Escaped? How?" "Their world was burned." "No," Vela said, shaking her head. "Their world changed. They opened a kind of hyperspace the Empire never understood. They vanished into it. Their bodies, their ships, everything transformed inside that strange region." Thaler felt a cold wave run down his spine. "What did they become?" Vela looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly. "No one knows. But their last message was recorded by a hidden sensor." She activated the cube. A distorted voice echoed through the vault. Deep, strange, almost human but not fully. "Empire, we will return when the stars forget your crimes." Thaler swallowed. Vela continued softly. "Commander, the stars have forgotten. Many generations passed, but humans have not. And now they are here." A loud alarm suddenly echoed through level 0. "Alert! New signal detected. Origin: unknown shadow. Distance: 2 sectors from the throne world. Speed: increasing." Thaler tightened his fists. "They're getting closer." Vela nodded. "This is only the beginning." Thaler looked at the forbidden files one last time. Humans did not die. Humans changed. And whatever they became was now coming straight for them. The palace alarms continued to ring across the capital world. Every screen in the Empire flashed the same warning. Unknown shadow approaching. Prepare for contact. Commander Thaler moved quickly through the main command halls. Officers rushed past him, afraid yet trying to follow orders. The air felt heavy, as if the whole planet was holding its breath. Then a sudden, sharp alert cut through the noise. "Escape pod detected. Incoming. Only one life signal inside." Thaler stopped cold. An escape pod? From where? Which ship survived the shadow? He hurried to the landing bay. The doors opened with a hiss, revealing a bright silver chamber filled with guards ready to fire. An old metal pod lay smoking in the center, its surface cracked and burned. A medical team approached, slowly opening the hatch. A single alien officer lay inside, shaking uncontrollably. His skin, normally bright purple, had turned pale gray. His eyes were wide, unfocused, filled with terror. Thaler stepped forward. "Who are you?" The officer struggled to breathe. "Lieutenant Ral, from Battle Group 9. That name hit Thaler like a punch. Battle Group 9 vanished only hours earlier, wiped out by the shadow. Yet this officer survived. "Get him water," Thaler ordered. "And someone stabilize him." Ral grabbed Thaler's wrist suddenly, surprising everyone. His voice cracked as he spoke. They're not ships, not ghosts, not monsters." Thaler bent down. "Calm yourself. Tell me what you saw." Ral shook his head violently. "You don't understand. You can't fight them. You can't even see them until they want to be seen." The guards exchanged worried looks. Thaler kept his voice steady. "Start from the beginning." Ral closed his eyes, trembling. "We were patrolling Sector 17. Normal route, nothing strange. And then, everything changed. He took a deep, shaking breath. A black wall appeared in front of us. Not metal. Not gas. A wall of nothing. Like a hole in space. Our scanners couldn't read it. Our weapons passed through it like it wasn't there. Thaler frowned. A void. Ral nodded. Yes, but the void moved. It followed us. We turned to escape and that's when it happened. His voice broke. The darkness opened. Something stepped out. The room fell silent. Even the guards leaned closer. Ral whispered. It looked like a person. A human, but not fully. Its body was bright, like glowing white energy. No eyes. Just light where the face should be. It walked in space like there was ground beneath it. Thaler's heart pounded. A human. A living human. In the vacuum of space. Impossible. Yet Ral's fear was too real to ignore. Ral continued, voice shaking harder. It spoke. But its voice wasn't normal. It felt like the words came from inside our minds. Thaler leaned closer. What did it say? Ral froze, eyes wide with remembered terror. It said, leave this place. You do not belong here. Thaler's jaw tightened. What did your commander do? He tried to speak with it, Ral said. He asked what it was, where it came from. And Ral choked. The human raised its hand, and our ships began to vanish. One by one. No fire. No explosion. They simply blinked out. Erased. Like someone was deleting stars. The room felt colder. Thaler spoke softly. How did you survive? Ral grabbed his head with both hands. I don't know. I shouldn't be alive. The human looked at our ship. I felt my bones freeze. I thought it would erase us. But then it turned away. Thaler frowned. Turned away? Why? Because, Ral whispered, another ship appeared. A massive one. It glowed like a sun. And when it arrived, the human stepped back into the shadow. Thaler's eyes widened. There are more of them. Ral nodded weakly. Many more. The new ship sent one message. Only one. He reached into his pocket with a trembling hand and pulled out a small recorder. Thaler pressed play. A voice echoed through the landing bay. Deep, calm, but filled with power. We claim the lost paths. Do not follow us again. Then the recording ended. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Thaler felt a sinking weight in his stomach. The lost paths. Is that what humans call the hyperspace region they vanished into? Scholar Vela had entered quietly. Her 6 eyes focused on Ral. Yes, she said softly. The place where they changed. The place we were never meant to enter. Ral looked at her in confusion. They aren't the same anymore. They are something else. Something stronger. Thaler straightened. Lieutenant Ral, you told us the truth. You brought us what we need. You did well. Ral only shook his head. No, Commander. I brought you a warning. They erased 2 battle groups because we crossed into their territory. They didn't attack first. They only answered. Thaler stiffened. You mean, this is not war? Ral whispered the words that chilled everyone. This is a message. The room went silent. A communication officer rushed into the bay, shouting breathlessly. Commander! New alert! The Shadow Force has changed direction. Thaler turned sharply. Where are they going? The officer swallowed hard. Straight toward the throne world, sir. Everyone froze. Ral whispered softly, tears in his eyes. They're coming, to finish what began centuries ago. Thaler felt his heart drop. The humans were no longer hiding, no longer running. They were coming to face the Empire. And no one knew if anything could stop them now. The throne world shook with tension. Every street, every tower, every control station felt the weight of what was coming. Citizens hid inside shelters. Military ships formed tight defensive circles above the capital. Thousands of weapons pointed at the empty sky, waiting for the shadow that wiped out fleets with a single thought. Commander Thaler stood inside the High Command war room. The giant holomap displayed the entire system. Red dots, Imperial ships crowded every orbit. But one moving shape stood out. The unknown shadow. It was getting closer. Distance? Thaler asked. 4 minutes from orbit, an officer replied, voice trembling. Scholar Vela stood beside Thaler. Her 6 eyes didn't blink. They are not here to hide anymore. They want us to see them. Thaler exhaled through tight teeth. Then we will see them. The alarms cut through the air. A giant circle of darkness opened above the planet, like a hole torn into the universe. Lightning crackled around its edges, silent but powerful. Every Imperial ship turned toward it, ready to fire. Hold fire, Thaler commanded. No one fires unless I order it. The darkness expanded until it covered half the sky. Then something stepped out. Not a ship. Not a starfighter. A massive vessel glowing white, shaped like a sharp crescent. Every inch of it looked alive, flowing like liquid light, bending space around it. The ship had no engines, no panels, nothing familiar. It looked as if it was born, not built. The throne world fell silent. One officer whispered, That cannot be real. Another muttered, No metal, no energy trails. It's impossible. Thaler stared without blinking. It's them. The humans. Or whatever they had become. The giant ship slowly drifted into the upper atmosphere, moving without sound. The Empire's largest warships looked like insects next to it. But what frightened everyone most was the calm. The ship didn't aim weapons. It didn't attack. It simply watched. A sudden flash of light appeared on the surface of the glowing ship. A figure stepped forward, standing on nothing, floating in the open sky above the throne world. A human. Oh, bright. Glowing with soft white energy that moved across the body like flowing water. Its eyes were 2 streams of light. It wore no suit, no armor. It simply existed in the sky. The entire planet watched. Scholar Vela whispered, A living human. After all this time. The human raised one hand. Instantly, every Imperial weapon powered down. Every turret, every ship, every defense line. All dead. Lights dimmed across the war room. Officers panicked and tried to restart systems. But nothing obeyed. Thaler's voice shook with anger. They disabled everything, without firing a single shot. The human's voice echoed across the sky, across every ship, every station, every city. Empire, your silence ends today. Every citizen heard it in their own language. Thaler felt the words inside his bones. The human continued, For centuries you hid your crimes. You erased worlds. You erased us. The sky darkened as shadows formed behind the glowing human. More figures, human-shaped but bright as stars. A whole group. 10, 20 more. A returned people. The human leader spoke again. We do not come to conquer. We come to reclaim what was stolen. We come to speak truth you buried. The Emperor himself stepped into the war room, pale and trembling. Open channel, he rasped. Thaler hesitated. Your Majesty. Open it, the Emperor insisted. Thaler obeyed. A beam of light appeared in the center of the war room. Slowly, the glowing human form materialized inside it, projected directly from the sky. Officers backed away. No one dared breathe. Thaler stepped forward. Identify yourself. The human tilted its head slightly. I am called Elian, the figure said. A protector of my people. One of the returned. Returned? Thaler asked. Returned from where? Elian's light dimmed slightly. From a place your kind forced us into. A place you entered without right. A place you called the Lost Paths. Vela whispered. They survived inside that strange hyperspace pocket. Elian continued. We fled your destruction centuries ago. You hunted us. You burned our world. You erased every story, every name, every breath we left behind. The Emperor stepped forward shakily. That was a different age. A dark age. Our ancestors feared your rise. Elian's voice grew colder. Fear does not excuse genocide. The Emperor flinched. Thaler spoke firmly. Why erase our fleets? Why kill so many? Elian's eyes glowed brighter. We have not killed. Your ships were not destroyed. They were taken away. Removed from this space, to keep them from harming us. Where are they? Thaler asked. Elian did not answer. Instead, he said something far more chilling. We came to offer a choice, Commander. A choice your empire never gave us. The room felt frozen. What choice? Thaler asked quietly. Elian raised his hand. The sky outside split open with light. More ships appeared, hundreds, like a new constellation forming above the world. Truth or extinction? Vela gasped. The Emperor staggered backward. Thaler remained still. Elian continued. Tell the galaxy what you did to Earth. Tell them the truth you buried. Free the worlds you stole. Or we will finish what your ancestors began. The light around him pulsed like a heartbeat. You erased us, Elian said softly. Now we erase your lies. The projection faded. The sky remained full of glowing ships. The returned had arrived. And they were not leaving. The crew of the Eclipse 9 sat in deep silence as the ship passed through the torn layer of clouds above the strange planet. The unknown signal that had pulled them across space now felt heavier, almost like it was watching them. No one spoke, but every face showed the same mix of fear and determination. They had come too far to turn back now. Below them stretched a world that looked both alive and dead at the same time. Huge forests of dark, twisted trees spread across the valleys. Their branches moved even though there was no wind. Thin rivers of glowing blue water carved paths through the land, lighting up the ground like veins under skin. And in the distance stood giant stone towers, broken, ancient, but still standing tall like guardians of a forgotten age. As the ship descended toward a flat clearing, Dr. Mira placed her hands on the control panel and whispered to herself, "So this is where the signal came from." Jace gave a small nod, but his voice was tight. Then we find the source. Quick in, quick out. Cora scanned the ground through the glass. I don't like this place. Everything looks wrong. Like the planet is alive. It is alive, Lyra said softly. More than you think. Everyone turned toward her. The young xenobiologist looked pale, her eyes wide with something close to fear. She pointed to the glowing rivers outside. That isn't water, she said. That's energy. Pure, living energy. I've never seen anything like it. Mira raised an eyebrow. You mean the planet itself might be generating power? No, Lyra whispered. I mean the planet itself might be alive. Jace almost laughed, but something in her voice stopped him. The ship landed with a soft thud. The ramp opened slowly, letting cold air sweep inside. It carried a faint humming sound, almost like distant whispering. The crew exchanged uneasy looks and then stepped out. The ground was soft, covered in tiny glowing particles that stuck to their boots. Every step felt like they were walking on breathing soil. Strange flowers opened as they walked past, turning their petals toward them as if watching. Stay close, Jay said. His voice echoed slightly, though there were no mountains or buildings nearby. Cora studied her scanner. No signs of animals. No movement. Just the energy flow. It's everywhere. The group walked toward the nearest stone tower. Its surface was covered in smooth symbols that were strangely familiar. Mira stopped dead in her tracks. I've seen these before, she whispered. Years ago. On the ruins of Ortiz 4. Jace frowned. But no one ever translated those. That's because no one understood the language, Mira said. But look. She slowly touched one of the symbols. It glowed beneath her hand and spread across the tower like a line of fire racing across dry wood. Lyra gasped. It responded to you. Before Mira could speak, the ground rumbled. A low vibration shook the air. The glowing rivers brightened until they looked like stars spilled across the land. And then the whispering grew louder. Not wind. Not animals. Voices. Thousands of them. Cora's eyes widened, and she gripped her weapon. Tell me that's just the wind. It's not, Lyra said. Her voice shook. The planet is talking. The tower cracked open with a deep groan, revealing a hollow doorway. Inside, a staircase spiraled downward into darkness lit only by soft blue glow.
Jace sighed sharply. This is a trap. It has to be. Or it's a message, Mira said. We followed the signal. Maybe this is the next step. Before they could argue, a sharp wave of sound swept across the forest. Not a scream, more like a warning. Trees bent toward the tower as if pointing the way. Mira stepped inside first. Cora cursed under her breath and followed. The others went after her. The staircase felt warm under their boots, as if the stone itself had a heartbeat. The deeper they went, the louder the voices became. They weren't angry. They weren't crying. They sounded desperate. When they reached the bottom, they entered a massive underground chamber. The ceiling glowed with the same blue energy. In the center of the room stood a giant sphere of light, suspended in midair, turning slowly. Lyra stepped forward. That's not technology. That's a mind. Myra's breath caught. A mind. Yes. Or what's left of one. Jace looked confused. Explain. This planet wasn't just alive, Lyra said, her voice trembling. It had a guardian. A living intelligence connected to every river, every tree, every stone. And something destroyed it. The sphere flickered, and an image flashed through the chamber. Ships in the sky, fire raining down, cities turning to ash. An invasion, Mira whispered. Who would attack a living world? The sphere dimmed, and a new image appeared, something that made the entire crew step back. A symbol. Burning bright. A symbol every human ship captain knew. Jace's voice broke. No way. That's impossible. Mira felt the blood drain from her face. Because the symbol wasn't alien. It was human. The giant glowing symbol hung in the air above the sphere, turning slowly. Its lines were sharp, bright, and unmistakable. Every human ship, every colony, every training academy knew it by heart. It was the emblem of the old human empire. The empire that had vanished centuries ago, leaving behind only stories and warnings. Jace swallowed hard. Why would our own ancestors attack this world? Mira took a slow step forward, eyes fixed on the symbol. Unless the stories were wrong. Maybe the empire didn't disappear. Maybe it destroyed everything that stood in its way. The sphere flickered again, sending waves of soft blue light across the chamber. Images flashed. Quick. Violent. Painful. Ships shaped like blades. Weapons that cut through mountains. Cities on fire. A sky breaking apart under human war machines. Lyra covered her mouth with trembling hands. No, this can't be true. Humans weren't explorers back then. They were conquerors. Cora clenched her fists. So the Empire wiped out a living world? Why? For resources? For power? Before Mira could answer, the chamber shook. A deep echo rose from the ground, as if something massive had awakened beneath their feet. The sphere dimmed until only a faint glow remained. A single message appeared in the air, a string of symbols that translated themselves into simple words. Help or run. Jace stepped back. That's not very comforting. Mira stared at the fading message. It means we're not alone down here. Something survived the Empire's attack. The room grew colder. The glowing rivers outside pulsed through the stone walls like a heartbeat speeding up. The voices that had whispered before now grew louder, almost urgent. Lyra shook her head. The planet isn't angry at us. It's afraid. Afraid of what? Cora whispered. The answer came from the outer walls. A low metallic screech echoed through the chamber. Then another. And another. Like old machines waking after ages of sleep. Jace held up his weapon. Stay alert. Mira studied the sphere. This intelligence. It wasn't just a guardian. It held the planet together. When the Empire destroyed it, they broke the balance. Something inside the planet changed. The screeching grew closer. Mira continued, her voice tense. Something was trapped here. Something the Guardian kept asleep. Lyra's eyes went wide. And now it's waking up. The walls cracked. Stone dust fell like sand. A long, thin limb of metal and bone pushed through the crack. It twitched, searching the air like an insect's antenna. Cora aimed her weapon. What is that? The chamber shook again as more limbs broke through,
Dozens this time. The cracks spread like spider webs. Mira whispered the answer, almost too soft to hear. A leftover creation of the Empire. A war machine. The sphere pulsed weakly, showing one last image. A massive shadow rising over a dead city, its shape shifting like it was alive. Weapons that grew from its body. Eyes that burned with cold, blue fire. A final message appeared. It hunts all life. The limbs pulled back. A deep roar echoed through the tunnels below. Metal grinding against metal, mixed with something that sounded almost alive. Jace grabbed Myra's arm. We need to leave. Now. They rushed up the stairs, the ground shaking beneath their feet. The walls groaned as the cracks followed them upward, chasing them like a living threat. Outside, the sky darkened. The glowing rivers turned red. Cora yelled over the rising wind. This whole place is waking up. Behind them, the tower split down the middle. A massive shape crawled out from the underground, its body made of old Empire metal fused with the living energy of the planet. Its eyes glowed bright blue, locked onto the crew like prey. Lyra whispered in fear. The Empire didn't just attack this world. They left something behind, Mira said. The machine roared again, shaking the air. And it's still following its last order. Jace steadied his weapon though his hands trembled. Which order? Mira took a breath. Destroy everything that lives. The monster charged, and the crew ran. The ground shook under the crew's feet as they ran through the broken ruins. Behind them, the massive war machine rose higher, its metal plates sliding into new shapes, weapons forming from its limbs like growing blades. The sky above turned dark red. Lightning cracked across the clouds. The entire planet felt alive and angry. Jace shouted, Head for the throne chamber. It's the only structure still stable. But that's where the energy core is. Lyra cried. Exactly, Mira said. It's the only place we can trap it. The monster roared again, its voice made of metal tearing apart. Huge steps followed them, each one shaking the dead city. The glowing rivers rushed faster, as if the world itself was panicking. They reached the throne chamber, its massive doors cracked but still standing. Jace slammed the emergency pad, and the doors slid open with a heavy groan. The group rushed inside. The chamber looked different now. The floating throne glowed brighter than before, and the shattered sphere flickered on the floor, weak but still active. Streams of blue and red light ran across the ceiling like veins. Mira studied the throne. This was never a seat for a leader. It was the control point of the entire planet. Cora looked back at the doorway. And now it's the trap. The monster appeared at the entrance. It was even more terrifying up close. Twisted metal, broken armor, glowing blue eyes, and a body that shifted like liquid steel. It stepped inside, bending the doorway with its weight. Lyra whispered, It's scanning us. The creature's eyes focused on Mira. Mira stepped forward, unarmed. You're old. You're running on the last of your power. The machine paused. Its head turned slowly. You're following orders from a dead empire, Mira continued. But the world you were meant to destroy is already gone. The machine froze. For a moment, the chamber fell silent. Then the machine roared and charged. Jace fired. Cora fired. The blasts barely slowed it. The creature's arms reshaped into razor-sharp blades. It swung them across the room, cutting pillars like they were paper. Get to the throne, Mira yelled. Jace grabbed her arm. What are you planning? The throne can channel the planet's energy into one place. If I overload it, the surge will fry everything connected to the old empire, including that monster. Lyra shouted. But Mira, you'll be standing right next to it. Mira didn't slow down. I know. Jace's voice cracked. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, she yelled. We don't have time. The war machine smashed another pillar. Debris crashed to the floor. The chamber shook like a storm. Cora and Lyra fired everything they had to buy a few seconds. Mira reached the throne and placed her hands on the glowing surface. Energy pulsed under her fingers. The sphere on the ground flickered weakly. A tiny message appeared. Warning. Overload will destroy all connected systems. Mira took a long breath. Good. She forced energy through the throne. The entire room lit up with blinding blue light. The glowing rivers outside rose higher, pulled toward the chamber like streams of electricity. The machine roared and charged straight at Mira. Jace sprinted toward her. Mira! The energy snapped through the air like lightning. The machine reached her. But the surge hit first. A beam of pure blue light exploded from the throne and struck the creature. Its body shook violently. Its armor cracked. Its eyes flickered. It tried to take one more step, but its entire structure collapsed into dust. The throne chamber fell silent. The glowing rivers slowed. The sky cleared. The planet's heartbeat calmed. Mira collapsed forward, but Jace caught her. The throne faded to a soft, harmless glow. Lyra and Cora gathered around, breathless. Jace held Mira close. You did it! Mira lifted her head weakly. No, we did it. The sphere flickered one last time. A peaceful message appeared. Balance restored. Thank you. Then it faded forever. Outside, the world finally rested. Cora wiped her eyes. So, what do we tell the galaxy? Jace looked at the ruins around them, at the world destroyed by an ancient empire, at the machine that almost ended them, and at Mira, alive but exhausted in his arms. We tell them the truth, he said, that the past is waking up, and humanity must be ready. The camera drone blinked, recording the broken throne behind them. Sci Fi Defenders had survived, but the galaxy had just received its warning.